Hey folks, Big Woodsman here. We're building our new barn, so we thought what a perfect way to finish off the roof is to add an antique roof vent. So the one we have right here is in pretty rough shape. We got it for a really good deal, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to rebuild this, so stay tuned. Let's see what we get into. So the first thing we have to do is take this unit all apart so we can straighten it and then clean it up and put it all back together. So the top part is attached to the base via sheet metal screws. So we can unscrew those and we should get it apart into two pieces. The next thing we're going to have to do is pull this band on the outside, and these have small bolts. So we're going to try to get those bolts out. If we can't, we're just going to break them or replace them. And then this top cone is mounted to it via rivets. So we're going to have to probably grind those rivets, get new rivets, and re-rivet it back in place. But that'll relatively be the last step, along with soldering on new adornments on top. So we'll have to cut and make those out of new galvanized steel. So we might as well go ahead and start pulling this thing apart. As we mentioned earlier, these screws that hold this outer band onto the inner frame are really rusty. This is an 1800s barn. These things are really on there. So we're going to have to go ahead, we're going to have to grind each one of these off and then replace them with new bolts. There's no way we're going to be able to get these off. We've tried a couple and they just will not budge. Well, here's our top cone. This is our next step. It's, well, it's very badly damaged. It's really badly bent. So we're going to have to go ahead. You can see the rivets here. There's 2 on every single one of these brackets. There's 5 brackets around the circumference of it. We're going to have to go ahead and grind all those rivets out. We're going to end up having to straighten these brackets, clean everything up, and then we can basically straighten everything and put it all back together. We're missing a couple of these adornments off the top, so I'm going to have to go ahead and make those and see if we can solder these back on so we've got everything back in place. But first things first, let's get these brackets off. So there we have it. We have our top cone off. We should be able to go ahead now, clean up these rivets, pop them out, and then hammer this back to nice and cone shaped. And then we can go at the collar and pull those other half of the brackets off, clean them up, and then put everything back together with brand new rivets. So we've gone ahead, we've straightened out our ring, we've banged it flat, we've taken off all the brackets that you saw, we've now straightened those, rebent those back into the proper angle that they're supposed to be. And now we're going to go ahead, we're going to clean up the crimp on the edge of this piece. So I have these crimping pliers, I have no idea where I got them, and I have never used them in my life. So today's the day we're going to put these things to work, and we're just going to go around and re-straighten our crimp. Everywhere that it's suspect, we're going to re-straighten it. So we've gone ahead, we've pop riveted our outside ring on, and then we've gone ahead and we've painted it with galvanized spray paint. What that's going to do is protect it nicely, and it's much easier to paint this now before we put the top ring and cone on. So the next step is we need to mount all of our brackets that we've straightened to this piece, and then we can put our outside decorative ring on. So we're going to go ahead and mount these. We decided to mount these with machine screws instead of solid pop rivets. So these are just going to bolt on from the outside in. So there's the first one. Now we just need to go around and add all the rest. So now that we have all our braces in and tightened, we can go ahead and add our outer decorative ring and our top cone. So now that we have the outer ring mounted with our bolts, we've got our brackets in place, everything's tightened down, it's painted on the inside so it's much easier to get at, we can go ahead and mount our top cone. And that we're going to pop rivet through the existing brackets. So now we have our roof vent all back together. It's nice and strong, it's painted. The roof is going to be in a galvanized steel, so this is going to match the steel nicely. So the next thing we have to figure out is our embellishment, our accents on the top. We have a couple of the old ones, so we're going to have to make a couple new ones and figure out how to rivet these to this piece and then figure out a central cone. So that's the next thing we're going to be doing on this project. So back in the shop we go. So for the top of our vent, we needed to make a cone, so we've gone ahead, we found some old steel. We were going to clean this up, but we've gone ahead, started our cone. So now we have to go ahead and pop rivet it. And then once we get this in place on the top of our vent, we can then add the embellishment pieces that hold everything in place. The rivets I've been using through all of this are 1/2 inch by 3/16, so they're extremely heavy, hard rivets. But they'll hold for the life of it. So we're just going to put one more in the top, and then this can be painted and ready to go on the top of our cone. So here's the top of our roof vent. The original one did not have the terminal cone, so we've went ahead, we've made the terminal cone, and then the embellishments that were on it, the original embellishments, because we didn't have the cone and we just produced what we thought was pretty close. The angle, as you can see, the new cone is much sort of shorter than the originals. So we couldn't use the original embellishment, but we did go ahead and out of steel, we made the embellishments, we took a hole saw, we've cut the piece, and now we fashioned up new embellishments for the roof. So now all we have to do is go ahead and pop rivet these on and finish them off. So there you have it, folks. We've taken our antique barn vent that was all mangled up, bent. We've straightened everything out. We've reformed it back into its original shape. We've put the terminal cone back on, new embellishments, and it's ready to go up on the roof. So that's the next step, is to put it up on the roof of our barn. So remember, it's life out there in the woods. I'll see you out there in it.